Hello, friends. Today we're going to talk about drama. And have you ever acted in a drama or in a skit at school? So, when we were kids, we really loved putting up plays. And once we even went to the extent of building a stage and selling tickets. It was fun. Have you ever noticed that God is really great at drama? The Bible is like one long TV series with many episodes and seasons all connected. And through it all, there is one theme, one lead actor, and each drama continues into our own lives. So these are some of the seasons that we find in the Bible. I'm sure you know what they're about. You recognize them. And today, we're going to look at one episode, a real life drama in the gospel. And the lead actor is Jesus, of course. Let's imagine the scene as we read, and then we'll do it again in slow motion with questions which we hope you will be able to answer. So let's begin. A reading from the Gospel of St. John, chapter 8, verses 2 to 11. Early in the morning, he came again to the temple, and all the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery. And placing her in the midst, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say?" This they said to test him, that they might have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. But as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." And once more he bent down and wrote on the ground. But when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones. And Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Jesus stood up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said to her, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on, sin no more." The word of the Lord. Let's now rewind and look at the drama in slow motion. But before that, let's look at what was happening earlier, like they say, previously in this season. Now, there was a week-long Feast of the Tabernacles. It was just getting over. And people had come from all over Israel and even outside to attend the feast. And every day they would come to the temple, and there was Jesus preaching. And everyone began to talk about him and argue about him. Some said maybe he's the Messiah. Some said no, he can't be because he's not from Bethlehem, King David's city. The leaders were getting more and more angry and hyper. They didn't like Jesus, and all they wanted to do was get him arrested and somehow kill him. So let's go to the drama. Did you notice the setting of the drama? We'd start with scene 1. The first question is, where does the story take place? In the temple. Got that right? What was Jesus doing when the story begins? He was sitting and teaching the people. Each time you get it right, give yourself a point. What time was it? It was early in the morning. And even though it was early in the morning, people had come rushing to get the first seats and to hear this great preacher. Who interrupts Jesus in this drama? Jesus is sitting and teaching. Who comes and causes a disturbance? The Pharisees and scribes. And whom do they bring with them? A woman whom they caught in serious sin. What punishment do they say she deserves? What did they tell Jesus that has to happen to her? They say stoning to death. And what did they ask Jesus to do? To judge the woman. So they changed the classroom into a courtroom. And the woman is standing there as the accused. Now, everyone's eyes are fixed on Jesus. The Pharisees and scribes are thinking, will he say, set her free? Will he say she should be stoned? If he says she should be stoned, then the Romans will catch him. But if he says, set her free, then we'll know he's going against Moses' law. We've caught him now. And the woman was thinking, what will he do? Will he let me die? I know I have sinned and now I'm caught. And the people around were wondering, what will Jesus say? Will he save the woman? But Jesus doesn't say anything for a time. The leaders kept asking, but he keeps quiet and he just starts writing on the ground with his finger. Then after some time, Jesus stands up and says something. What does he say? Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her. Now we come to the second scene, scene 2. Jesus bends down again and writes on the ground. Just try it. Bend down and write on the ground. And now think about this. What do you think Jesus was doing? Why was he writing on the ground? We don't know the answer. Maybe he was just wanting them to think. Maybe he was writing their sins on the ground. That's what some people think. Saint Bede says that Jesus was trying to say, look at me. You also bend down, be humble. Look at your own life and see how sinful you are. Whatever it is, something changed. Everyone kept quiet. And then, one by one, beginning with the eldest, all the accusers left. Maybe they knew they were sinners, or maybe they just realized they can't do anything now. Because if they start stoning the woman, they will be caught by the Romans. And now as they walk away, people would think, they're sinners. That's why they can't throw stones. So it's pachkavada, like my sons used to say. Last scene, scene 3. Let's look at this. Everyone has gone away, and Jesus is left alone with the woman who is still standing there, waiting. Why do you think she's waiting? Why didn't she just go home? Maybe she realized that Jesus is the real judge, and he's the one who can set her free from her sin. He's the one who can give her life forever. And Jesus looks at her and says, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" And she said, "No one, Lord." Now Jesus speaks the words that would change her life. And what does he say? This is the last question. He says, "I don't condemn you. Go and sin no more." So that's 10 questions, which I hope you got right. Can you imagine now what the woman feels? How happy she must have been that no longer does she be worried that she's going to die. And so with this, the episode is over. It's the end. But 1 minute, it's not really the end, because this is not Spider-Man or Aladdin. The drama, I told you, ends with us. And the end of this depends on how we play our part. So let's think about ourselves now. And let's think of Jesus's words. He said, "Let him who is without sin be the first to throw a stone." Do you have a stone in your hand ready to throw at people? Jesus is asking you. That means we're not talking about actually throwing a stone and killing someone, but Jesus is saying, do you make people feel bad? Do you treat them like bad people? Do you talk about them? Do you think in your mind, this person is not as good as me? Think about that. This is what Jesus is wanting us to think about. And the second one is what Jesus said to the woman. He's saying to us too, "I do not condemn you. Go and sin no more." Jesus is asking you, "My child, do you accept that you have sinned? Do you realize that you are a sinner? Do you accept my forgiveness, which I give to you? Or do you keep on blaming yourself once you have said sorry? Do you realize that I have taken your punishment on myself so that you don't have to die, that you can live forever?" Ask yourself, am I ready to let go of my sins and make a new start with the help of God? Let's talk to Jesus quietly. You can pause and pray. If you're comfortable, pray aloud also. There are two things we can do which will help us to really go deeper into this drama, and it will remain in our hearts. One is write a title for this drama, whatever you think, and you can share it with us in the comments. And the other is to plan and act another scene, scene 4. So just imagine what the woman did as she went home. What did she say to her friends? Was she there when Jesus was dying? What did she say to him at that point? So just use your imagination and act. So don't forget to share this video with other families so that they too can read the word together and pray together. And we'd be very happy to hear some comments, what you are doing. See you next week on Family Faith Time.